Hi grade 5! Once again, I am Ma'am Sharnes, your English 5 teacher, and welcome to our English class. In this lesson, you will learn how to differentiate compound and complex sentence and use them in showing cause and effect and problem solution relationships of ideas. First, let's try to make sentence out of these pictures. Look at the first picture. Can you write your own sentence about the first picture? Okay, let's try it. Here is my sentence about the first picture. The girl is reading silently. How about on the second picture? Can you make your own sentence about this second picture? Okay. Here is my sentence about the second picture. The boys are playing chess. Now, let's read the two simple sentences. The first sentence is, the girl is reading silently. The second sentence, the boys are playing chess. Now, let's try to combine these two sentences to make one single sentence. The girl is reading silently and the boys are playing chess. So this sentence is from these two simple sentences. How did we combine it? By adding the conjunction or the word and in between the two simple sentences. Let us read. The girl is reading silently and the boys are playing chess. This type of sentence is what we called compound sentence. Let's have more examples. Here on the screen, you see the simple sentences and the compound sentences. Patrick will have to finish his homework. He will not be allowed to watch TV. These are examples of two simple sentences. And when we combine it together, it will become a compound sentence. Patrick will have to finish his homework or he will not be allowed to watch TV. As you see, compound sentence is formed by combining the two or these two simple sentences. Another example, the plant did not grow. There is no enough water in the pot. When it is combined together, the plant did not grow for there is no enough water in the pot. Next, Jenny and Lisa are classmates. They have become good friends. And when we combine it together, it will be Jenny and Lisa are classmates and they have become good friends. Our last example, Jeffrey loves eating spicy noodles, but the doctor advised him to avoid eating spicy and salty foods. This compound sentence is formed by combining these two simple sentences. Jeffrey loves eating spicy noodles. The doctor advised him to avoid eating spicy and salty foods. You will also notice that In the middle or in between the two simple sentences that we have joined together or combined together, in the middle, there is the word or, for, and but. These words are what we called coordinating conjunction. So these coordinating conjunctions combine the two simple sentences together to make a compound sentence. So what do we mean when we say compound sentence? Compound sentence is made up of two simple sentences or independent clauses connected by a coordinating conjunction. We have what we call the FANBOYS. So these coordinating conjunctions are also known as FANBOYS. F is for, A is and, N is nor, B is but, O is or, Y is yet, and S is so. Again, we call them FANBOYS or coordinating conjunctions. Study how each coordinating conjunctions are used in the following sentences. For is used to explain the reason or purpose, just like the word because. So, we will use the word for or the conjunction for to explain reasons or purpose. Example: I ate a lot of food for I am hungry. Our coordinating conjunction is for. And our two independent clauses are I ate a lot of food and I am so hungry. So these are two independent clauses that we combine together using the conjunction for. Another conjunction is and. It adds another idea. Example: my family go on a vacation trip and we had a lot of wonderful time. Our coordinating conjunction is the word and. Remember, we use the word and to add another idea. The next conjunction is nor. We use the coordinating conjunction nor to present another negative idea to an already negative idea. Example: Teacher Betty don't expect her students to be rude, nor does she expect to be disobeyed. The coordinating conjunction is nor. In here, the negative idea is don't expect her students to be rude. And another negative idea is nor does she expect to be disobeyed. Another is the coordinating conjunction but. It shows contrast. Example: Miriam wants to eat chocolate cake, but she is on a diet. So in here, it shows contrasting idea because Miriam wants to eat chocolate cake, but she is on a diet, which means she cannot eat chocolate cake because she is on a diet. Next conjunction is or. It presents an alternative idea or another choice. Example: I will go to the market, or I will just stay at home. In here, it presents two ideas. The first idea is I will go to the market, and the second idea or second option or choice is I will just stay at home. Next is the coordinating conjunction yet. Yet presents a contrasting idea next to the previous idea. It is similar to the word but. Example: Jefferson, together with his groupmates, planned to finish their science project. Yet, they still not have all the needed materials. So, like what I said, the coordinating conjunction yet is also similar to the coordinating conjunction but, since it shows or it presents a contrasting idea. Next coordinating conjunction is so. It indicates effect, result, or consequence of an action or event. Example: Sally forgot to turn on her alarm clock, so she woke up late in the morning. Compound sentences can show cause and effect and problem and solution. Example: I ate a lot of food, for I am so hungry. The coordinating conjunction that we use is the word for. And the two independent clauses or two simple sentences are I ate a lot of food and I am so hungry. The conjunction is the word for. So in here, I ate a lot of food is the solution, while I am so hungry is the problem. And the word for is our coordinating conjunction. Next example: she takes her studies seriously, so she got perfect scores in most of her exams. Our coordinating conjunction is the word so. These are the two simple sentences or the two independent clauses that we combine together. She takes her studies seriously. She got perfect scores in most of her exams. The coordinating conjunction that we use to combine these two simple sentences is the word so. These compound sentences, or compound sentence rather, shows cause and effect relationship. The first independent clause shows cause, and the second independent clause shows the effect. And the word so is our coordinating conjunction. What do we mean by cause and effect relation? Cause is the reason why something happened, while the effect is the result of a certain action or situation. The two coordinating conjunction that we commonly use to show cause and effect relationship are the conjunction for and so. Example 1. The astronauts successfully landed. They spent a day on the moon's surface. These are the two independent clauses or two simple sentences. Let us combine it together. The astronauts successfully landed, so they spent a day on the moon's surface. The cause is the astronauts successfully landed, and the effect is they spent a day on the moon's surface, connected by the coordinating conjunction so. Another example, the two simple sentences are, it rained very hard. The passengers got stuck. When we combined it together, we formed the compound sentence, it rained very hard, so the passengers got stuck. What clause shows the effect and the cause? Okay. It rained very hard is the cause, while the next independent clause or group of words, the passengers got stuck, signifies the effect, and our coordinating conjunction is the word so. Example number 3. Here are the two simple sentences. Roy passed the exam. He studied very well. Can you combine these together to make a compound sentence? Very good. Roy passed the exam for he studied very well. In this compound sentence, Roy passed the exam tells or shows the effect, while he studied very well is the cause. So the reason why Roy passed the exam is because he studied very well. The coordinating conjunction that we use is for. On the next example, Jana's stomach aches. She skipped breakfast. When we combine it together, we form Jana's stomach aches for she skipped breakfast. These compound sentences show cause and effect relationship. Which simple sentence or independent clause shows the cause? And which independent clause shows the effect? Jana's stomach aches shows. You're right. It shows the effect or the result. And she skipped breakfast shows the cause or the reason why it happened. The coordinating conjunction is the word for. Have you noticed something? Examples 1 and 2 use the coordinating conjunction so, which tells or signaled the effect, while in example 3 and 4 use the coordinating conjunction for, which signaled the cause. So is followed by the effect, while for is followed by the cause. Problem solution ideas. From the word itself, problem and solution. It portrays a relationship of ideas in a sentence where one idea possesses a problem and provides solution to it. Example: Jennifer's tooth aches. She takes some medicine. When we formed it into a compound sentence, it will be Jennifer's tooth aches, so she takes some medicine. And here, the problem is Jennifer's tooth aches, while the solution, she takes some medicine. The coordinating conjunction is the word so. Another example: Mrs. Martha asks for help to the security guard. Her child got lost in the mall. When we combine it together, Mrs. Martha asks for help to the security guard for her child got lost in the mall. So in here, we have Mrs. Martha asks for help to the security guard. This is the solution. And her child got lost in the mall is the problem. The coordinating conjunction is the word for. Next, my dress got soaked on mud. I have to immediately wash it to remove its stain. The compound sentence is my dress got soaked on mud, so I have to immediately wash it to remove its stain. What independent clause tells the problem? Okay, my dress got soaked on mud. That is our problem. And the solution is I have to immediately wash it to remove its stain. And the coordinating conjunction is the word so. Now, let's talk about the complex sentence. Complex sentence is composed of one independent clause and one or two or more dependent clauses whose ideas are related. It can be used to show cause and effect and problem-solution relationship with the help of subordinating conjunctions, so that before, after, although, when, whenever, unless, while, because, since, in order to, even though, and etc. When we say independent clause, it is a simple sentence by itself. It gives a complete meaning and it can stand alone. While the dependent clause does not give a complete thought or idea. It cannot stand alone, and it depends on an independent clause to complete its meaning. Let's examine this group of words. Tell which group of words or clause is independent clause and dependent clause. Again, kids, independent clause has a complete thought and it can stand alone as one simple sentence, while the dependent clause has no complete thought and cannot stand alone. It needs an independent clause to complete its idea. Now, let's observe. Number 1. Since you or her, is it independent clause or dependent clause? This one is dependent clause.
How about number 2? We saw each other at the mall. Is it dependent clause or independent clause? You're right. It is independent clause. Number 3. Before you fried the chicken. Okay, it is dependent clause. They finish on time. It is very good. It is independent clause. Unless you will help me too. Very good. It is dependent clause. Observe that the dependent clause in these examples use subordinating conjunctions at the beginning of the group of words or clauses. We use the subordinating conjunction since, before, and unless. This serves as our clue that these are dependent clauses, while the independent clause does not have subordinating conjunctions. There are times wherein the dependent clause comes before the independent clause. If that's the case, a comma is used after the dependent clause to separate it from the other clause or clauses. There are times when the dependent clause comes before the independent clause. If that's the case, a comma is used after the dependent clause to separate it from the other clause or clauses. Example: when I was 10, I broke my leg. When I was 10 is the dependent clause, while I broke my leg is the independent clause. Why dependent clause? Because when I was 10 cannot stand on its own. It depends to the independent clause to complete its meaning, while I broke my leg has a complete thought already, even though we erase the phrase when I was 10 and we just left I broke my leg. It can be considered as a simple sentence. So that's why it is an independent clause, because it has a complete thought or idea. Observe that there is a comma that separates the dependent clause to the independent clause. Again, if the dependent clause comes first, there will be a subordinating conjunction at the beginning, and a comma is used to separate the dependent clause to the independent clause. And then at the last part is a period. Example number 1. In here we have 2 sentences. Because more and more children in the neighborhood were becoming sick of respiratory diseases, the barangay officials planned out some action. And the complex sentence, if we combine it together, will be: because more and more children in the neighborhood were becoming sick of respiratory diseases, the barangay officials planned out some actions. In here, the dependent clause is the clause number 1. this is the dependent clause, while the next clause is the independent clause. Why? Because we have our signal word or subordinating conjunction because. Even though it seems to have complete thought, since there is the word because, it seems to have lack of complete idea because the word because is attached to this phrase. Next, the barangay officials planned out some action. There is no subordinating conjunction here, and even without the dependent clause, it can still be called as a sentence in the form of simple sentence.
The word because is our subordinating conjunction, while comma separates the independent clause from dependent clause.
The barangay officials planned out some action shows solution, while because more and more children in the neighborhood were becoming sick of respiratory diseases is the problem.
Next example, the entry of vehicles was limited so that fumes exhausted would be lessened. And then when we combined these two clauses together to form a complex sentence, it will be the entry of vehicles was limited so that fumes exhausted would be lessened. So in here, in these two clauses, the dependent clause is the first or the second one. So this is the dependent clause, because in here you see the subordinating conjunction so that, and this clause so that fumes exhausted would be lessened is dependent to the independent clause, to this clause. So it cannot stand alone on its own. It lacks of complete idea, while the first clause is an independent clause because it can stand alone and it has a complete thought or idea. So in here we have the solution. The entry of vehicles was limited, and here the problem is fumes exhausted. Next example, we have two clauses here. Since smoking cigarettes harms the health of children, the next clause is smokers and families were advised not to smoke. When we combine it together to make a complex sentence, it will be since smoking cigarettes harms the health of children, smokers and families were advised not to smoke. In here, which one is the dependent and independent clause? This one, or the first clause, is a dependent clause because it has subordinating conjunction since at the beginning of the phrase, while the next clause is an independent clause. Which clause tells the problem? Okay, the problem is smoking cigarettes harms the health of children, and the solution is smokers and families were advised not to smoke.
So in here, you see the subordinating conjunction since and the comma, which separates the dependent clause and the independent clause. Next, his sight is blurry because he is not wearing his eyeglasses. His sight is blurry is a dependent or independent clause. Independent clause because it can be formed as a simple sentence, while the dependent clause is because he is not wearing his eyeglasses. It is dependent clause and it has the subordinating conjunction because at the beginning of the phrase. In here, we placed independent clause first. His eyes is blurry, followed by the dependent clause because he is not wearing his eyeglasses. If the independent clause comes first before the dependent clause, there will be no comma. Just period at the end of the sentence. His eyes is blurry is the effect, while he is not wearing his eyeglasses is the cause. Another example, since the government implemented the enhanced community quarantine, many people are now working from home. Since the government implemented the enhanced community quarantine is a dependent clause, while many people are now working from home is the independent clause. The subordinating conjunction since is here, which serve as our clue that it is a dependent clause, while the independent clause does not have any subordinating conjunctions. So, on the complex sentence, the effect is many people are now working from home. We have the subordinating conjunction since at the beginning. That is why we put comma to separate the two clauses. The cause is since the government implemented the enhanced community quarantine. Notice and take note, kids, that if the dependent clause comes first, there will be a comma that will separate the two clauses, while if the independent clause comes first, there will be no comma to separate the two clauses, just a period at the end of the sentence. Take note, kids, sentences may develop cause and effect and problem solution forms. These are usually written in compound sentence, which is composed of two independent clauses combined by a semicolon, a comma, or a coordinating conjunctions, while complex sentence is composed of one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. And that is it for today. I hope you understand our lesson, kids. If you still are not sure, you can go back and play this video again. Good job, kids, and congratulations! Once again, I am Ma'am Sharones, your English 5 teacher. Thank you for listening. Class dismissed.